Are you ready to start living a more confident, successful, and safe life, regardless of what's going on in the world or what has happened in your past? Then you're at the right place at the right time. The FemVincible podcast, where we bring you content and guests to help you focus on moving forward as the powerful you that you were truly meant to be. So welcome to FemVincible. Good morning. I love when I have the thing that says you're now live streaming. So you have the thing that says you're now live streaming. But then on Facebook, it says preparing to live stream. It's like, which one is it? Am I live streaming now? Or am I about to be? Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here on this fine Saturday morning, December the 3rd of 2022. Just in case somebody's watching this like a decade from now and you're like, if he would only say what year it is. So what I want to talk to you about today is something that's really neat because it's something that's simple and it's fun, and it will help to exercise your brain in a way that can help you see danger quicker, but not just see it quicker. It will help you get out of danger quicker and easier. Now, the title of today's podcast is The Puzzle Master. And why would I call it that? Because puzzles work on your brain. Certain kinds of puzzles are better than other puzzles. But here's something neat, and I actually have some I'm going to show you, okay? Whoops, I just tapped the table. There was not an earthquake. It was me tapping my desk. I shouldn't do that. The reason you need to get your brain fit is because there's a very good chance that the things that help you to see a problem quicker, of course, I've talked about awareness and situational awareness. And I think all of you know, I actually have one of the courses in the FemVincible program is strictly about awareness. It's not just situational awareness, which you hear that on TV and you're like, what does that mean? What am I supposed to be aware of? What's the situation? What am I looking for? And what do I do? No, it's much more than that. It's about personal awareness, environmental awareness, danger awareness, and all of that. And being aware of what's going on around you, there are some things that will help our brain, your brain, my brain, your children's brains, to see trouble quicker and to see how to get out of it. And we don't use that a whole lot. We might do it a little bit in our work, depending on what your job is. We might do it with our children, depending on how sneaky your children are, right? Like when you have a toddler and it's been quiet for like 10 minutes and you're like, what in the world is happening, right? We have so much stuff handed to us now, all of our information is right at our fingertips, whether it's on our phone or on our laptop or on our tablet or whatever we're using. And that makes it a little bit harder for us to be ready to use that part of our brain that helps us find that stuff quicker. And when I say that stuff, I mean danger and escape routes and tools for escaping and ways to stop something bad that's happening, or ways to get out of that room that you're now stuck in because there was an earthquake and the door's blocked, right? So here's what it is. And it's not going to be bad at all. It's puzzles. It's brain games. And, if you love puzzles, that's great because that part of your brain is already a little bit more advanced. If you hate puzzles, you probably need to look at puzzles. And I don't mean, the kind of puzzles, the kind of puzzles where you have all the pieces, the interlocking pieces that make the picture of the penguin sitting on the roof or whatever it is. Not that kind of puzzle, although that can also be helpful because you're having to look at all these different pieces and figure out how they fit together. Now, in the kind of puzzles that I'm talking about that I think work even better, here, I want to show you a book that I have. I use this. It helps me actually when I get in a place where I don't want to sit down and work because my brain's too spun up. I get this book out, Cold Case Puzzles. And, I mean, look at this. They're super cheap. Look at that. And you can get them at whatever bookstore. And a lot of times they're just going to be over there in the clearance aisle or the bargain area. And the thing is, there are so many different kinds of games in here, so many kinds of puzzles, just really different things that are neat to figure out what happened before and what happened after, or, what's the escape route. And you can get these on all different kinds of things. Even puzzles like these are so good for your brain because what they have to do, because what has to happen is you're looking at a new situation. And whenever you're doing something new, when you're learning something new, whether it's a new language or how to play the guitar or how to play a video game or doing a puzzle, if you haven't done it before, then your brain doesn't have the neural pathways for you to do it well, if you can do it at all. And the way your brain works, and this is pretty neat, so a little bit of just simple brain stuff. Our brain has what's called neural pathways. That means we have a pathway that tells us how to answer our phone. When we first got smartphones that had touch screens, like, how does it work? What do we do? And we had to figure it out. We had to play with it, and we had to move the screen and touch the things and realize they could disappear or whatever. But the more we did it, the more our brain fired along this same pattern of neurons, so that now it's easy. I mean, we answer our phone without looking, right? And it's the same for when you're playing a guitar. You start to learn to play guitar. You're like, where do these fingers go? And how can I tell which string I'm touching? As you learn, you gain not only muscle memory, but you're building brand new neural pathways. So you're not using old pathways. Your brain is actually building new pathways every time you learn something new, which is great. Also, side note, the more neural pathways you have in your head, the less likely a brain degenerative disease will affect you massively. And that's because it's just something I read a while back. It's so interesting. In a degenerative brain disease, you might lose this part of your brain right here. But if you have many, many, many pathways, because maybe you speak several languages, like to play puzzles, like to do different things, there are more pathways that information can go through instead of the area that just gets sick or dies. Crazy, right? It's one of the reasons you'll hear doctors, telling us when we have elderly parents, get them to play games, get them to listen to music, get them to do stuff where their brain is challenged, because it's building new pathways to help them function. Okay, a little bit off topic, but that's very important too. So yeah, as you're looking at these puzzles, you're having to think differently, and that's good. So when you're looking at, I like these crime scene ones. You guys know I used to be in law enforcement, but I like these crime scene ones because I have to go, all right, what's going on in this situation? What do I see in the picture? What makes sense that should be there and what shouldn't be there? And whether something is there that shouldn't be, or whether something is missing, what does it tell me about what happened? And as you do that, your brain has to figure it out. And after you realize things like, well, when I walk in this room, I should see, is the window open? Did a bad guy come in or go out of the window? If the window's closed, is it locked? Because if a bad guy came in the window and went back out, he wouldn't be able to lock it once he got out, right? And so there are things like that. And after I realize that and learn it, I now have that pathway in my brain so that every time I look at a crime scene or I'm doing a safety inspection, like I do on homes for people, I can look and I automatically look for that. I look for that window. I look for that door. I look for what kind of locks. I look for everything like that because it's automatic. I've built those new pathways. So any puzzles you play, crosswords, these picture books like I have that have so many different kinds of games. There was actually a magazine that I used to subscribe to. It was called Games, and it had so many different kinds of games in it. Just page after page. It was terrific. I don't know if that's still out. If it is, check it out. But this doesn't just work for adults. This is incredibly powerful for your children. Now, of course, they may not be able to do, what's in a book like this, but you can get simple puzzles for them. And, this is something I teach in my courses because I want every adult I teach to be able to teach their children. But as children get to play with puzzles, especially, I don't have scientific evidence on this, but if it's a puzzle that they can look and touch and use their hands with, as opposed to just looking on a screen, it engages more parts of their brain. And the more parts of your brain you can engage, the more neural pathways you build. And, especially since children's brains are developing, well into their 20s, which is surprising, right? Since that's still going on, the more puzzles they can play with, the more things they have to figure out, the more their brain is challenged, the easier it is for them to go, something's wrong here. Something doesn't seem right. Maybe I shouldn't be here. So they can find or recognize or realize something's out of place. Maybe they go in their bedroom. It's like, wait a minute, the window's open and the drawers are open. That's never happened. Something's wrong. I shouldn't go in my room. I should get mom or dad or call the police or whatever. But it's the same for you. When you're doing puzzles that make your brain look at things differently, because that's such a huge capability to see things differently. To see a piece, you need a knife to cut something, but you don't have one. What else do you have that's sharp? Can you use scissors? Sure. Can you use, look at this. I'll show you. See this rock? That thing has an edge that would cut through rope, and I don't know what else. So, that's one of the things, to see things differently. It's like you might just see a rock that looks like Idaho, or you might look and go, wow, that thing's got some real points and edges on it. I can use that to cut something. So seeing things differently because your brain has been practicing seeing things differently, trying to understand crime scene puzzles, or trying to figure out, what's the picture, the puzzles where you have this one and this one, what's the difference? Those are great puzzles to play, especially for your kids. Those simple, fun exercises, and I say they're fun because we can actually enjoy them, and you can buy them as gifts. It is December. It is the holiday season, right? Puzzles are great to give. And well, I just talked about why. It's one of those things that's fun. You can play it with your children. You can do it. You can have the same puzzle books that you and your spouse or you and your friends, so you can get through the puzzle first. That's great. You are just teaching your brain to solve things, to find escape routes, to find resources you can use faster and easier. And if you're timing yourself, doing a little competition with your teenage daughter or son, because it's a good game, then your brain's learning to do it even faster. And that's what we need. When there's a bad situation, we need to be able to recognize it quickly, and we need to be able to respond to it quickly. But if we can't think about it quickly, if we can't recognize it quickly, it's hard for us to physically respond in an effective way that's also quick, right? That's the big thing. Become a puzzle master. Play with puzzles anywhere you can see them, and you can even do this if you don't have a game with you. It's like, I love watching people, whether I'm in the airport or at the mall. I enjoy sitting on the benches and watching people and go, what kind of person is that? Let me look at their clothes. What do their clothes say about them? Let me see, what do they sound like? Can I tell where they're from? If they're from a different part of the country or a different part of the world. And it's just another one of those things that you teach your brain to do, to see, what are people wearing? What does it mean? What's the difference in that guy's suit who's going to a party and that guy's suit who's going to his job as the CEO of some megacorp? Even those, doing something like that is enjoyable, and it gives your brain a skill that can be used. Because guess what? If there's a bad guy, we need to be able to tell the police what they look like, how they acted, what car did they get into, did they walk funny, did they have a limp, were they wearing glasses, when every time he talked, did he turn his head a certain way, which could indicate what? A problem with one of his ears, right? If we know that a suspect is deaf in one ear, well, that really cuts down the number of people we have to look at as suspects. So anyway, it's super powerful. It's incredible. And you just do it by having fun, by playing with puzzles, playing with your kids, showing them how to do it. And I hope you will take that and use it in your gift giving and use it in your hobby time too. And like I say, if you hate puzzles, I'm just going to say maybe you haven't found the right kind of puzzle, because it feels good when you're achieving. And that's what a puzzle does for you, right? You're achieving an end to figure out what the picture is, to put all the pieces of the actual puzzle together, or to figure out who the bad guy was, or whatever it is. It feels good. It's a lot of fun. It's not wasted time. It's a powerful brain exercise. Become a puzzle master, and you are well on your way to having an incredible sense of awareness for resources to help you get out of trouble, and awareness to see when trouble's about to happen, so that you can get out of there and get your kids out of there before it actually gets going. Okay, that's it for today. I enjoyed that because I love puzzles, and I forgot how beneficial it is to your brain, for the stuff that I've been trained to do, in my different law enforcement jobs, my different military jobs. And it's normal to me. It's natural to me. So I forget the huge benefit something as simple as that can make. And maybe it's something you've never heard before, something you never thought to do with your children. So I'm happy that I remembered that, so I could share it with you this morning. When you learn something here, please share it with your friends and family. That's the way we make a whole family and a whole neighborhood and a whole community and a whole town safer. You learn a way to be safe, and you share it. You tell everybody. Get everybody that you know on the same track of being safer, being more capable, being more self-reliant. And that's what we want. And so that we can pass that on to our children and the next generation and the next. Okay. Hey, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. This has been a production of LabCath LLC and FemVincible.com.